Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jeff here again with the Straw Hat Crew. Back again. This time, I just got back from the 1K in Bluebell. My local store had a tournament. We ended up having 47 players show up, and I went with my trusty Zoro again. Just gonna get right into it, and I'm gonna go over my matchups and let you guys know how I did. So the main point of this was to rush. So we start with 4 Nami. This Nami is essential to tutor out all your Straw Hat crews. Without this, it's kind of rough sometimes. And we have 4 more Nami. This Nami is to accelerate. You can't grab it with the other Nami, unfortunately, but it provides, similar to the Luffy lead effect, once it's in play, it lets you float extra Don, which is really handy with getting Zoro's effect off and still being able to play cards. And then to keep the rush aspect, we play 4 Sunny-kun, able to get those last 2, very clutch. With Zoro, it can easily go up to 5,000 and start taking some early prizing to get the game over faster. Now, I only played 3 Otama, and the reason for this, I felt, since it didn't have any attack stat, it wasn't going to be so useful for what I was trying to do, which was hit the face. While you still need it to clear the board in certain threats, especially the 8-drop kid, this card is very clutch for dealing with that alongside of a Jet Punch. So to round it off, for the 1 slots, there's just 1 more Chopper. The reasoning for that is it doesn't have a lot of attack power and it doesn't have rush, so I only wanted 1 to search out in the times that I might need it. Now for the 2 drops. I tried one of these Luffy's because I thought that the ability to gain Don would be pretty useful so that it could attack and get powered up by Zoro, but it didn't come up that often. I would consider cutting in the future. Played 3 of these Usops. He is very good against control decks that rely on events. So the idea was if I went against, say, purple or blue, I would have a stronger matchup against them, and then he also provides the 2,000 plus ability. But I didn't go up against blue, so it wasn't as clutch as I needed to be. But the 2,000 plus power was very helpful. And then 3 of this Sanji. I was playing the other Sanji that lets you add from your life, but this one just has rush, and with that ability, you're able to just change the tempo of the game very fastly into your favor. That's what I would consider dropping this Luffy for, perhaps another copy of Sanji. This card was good all day long, especially with the Namis, it combos with that well. And even further combos with, I think, pretty staple. Everyone playing 4 Brooks because it gives you that plus 2,000 power. And then just being able to accelerate your Don and still be able to keep up momentum. For Zoro, the Heart and the Soul. It's just a smaller cost Luffy, and it has rush just like Sanji, but it doesn't cost quite as much to get the rush activated. You just pay the 3 and then use it. You typically try to hold this later in the game to end the game, but sometimes you might have to play it on turn 3. So again, the main point was just to rush and attack the face. So as long as I was playing the 3 Otama, I cut down the Nico Robin. The reasoning for that is I'm not expecting most of my characters to stay in play. I'm just trying to attack with them and continue on with the game. Whereas she has to survive to get her ability off. But she is pretty good at dealing with the blockers, so I wanted to still incorporate her somewhere so I could search it off of Nami. And then the lead for Luffy, again, without this card, some games are unwinnable. That unblockable ability is very strong, especially with Brooks, because you can put in another character for next turn tempo swing, while also triggering Luffy's effect. And he did come in clutch a couple rounds, helping me win. And then to round off the characters, today I wanted to try Shanks out. I usually don't play this because I feel like it's dead most of the time, but I've been having some issues with purple, and I knew that I would need something to counteract that. I did have it in my purple matchup, but it just wasn't that useful. I think it's still, it being 9 cost, and you needing most of your Don to do stuff with the smaller characters, he doesn't really find a useful role in the deck. Though interesting. Okay, that's all for the characters, onto the events. staple for me at least, 4-jet pistol. You need this, especially with the Otama. It's the main way that you can clear Kid outside of Luffy, the 8-drop Kid. You just combo these two together, you hold them until they summon it, if the game goes that long, and then you do that. But usually you're trying to run the green deck down by like before they get to 8 Don most of the time. But this card was clutch. I never hit it the whole time out of my life, so that was kind of unfortunate, but I have a couple other cards. I wanted to add some more variants to my deck so I can get more chances. 2 years. This card is like a Nami, but without having a creature, and it can grab Nami, so that is also interesting too. It was very clutch. It allows you to get Zoro or Luffy in the late game, and then in the early game it just lets you sculpt your hand to what you want it to be. So I would recommend this, and maybe even think about playing more for the 1 cost. And it triggers, so it's good. I stuck with 2 Red Hawk. I was playing 3, but I had to make room for the 2 years, and this was great with the rush factor and the small creatures. You just want to have something to protect them. And it also can like swing tempo in your favor. 2 guard point. To keep going with the small cost creatures, you want to be able to protect them so that you can fight with them again on the following turn to get more value out of them. So for just 1 Don, it's a pretty cheap cost, and it has a pretty powerful effect compared to pitching a 2k block counter and losing the card. And it can trigger as well. It didn't actually come up though. And then last but not least, the win con. It's like making any of your cards into Luffy unblockable, but at the cost of 1 Don, and then every once in a while it'll trigger, but usually you want to hold it for the late game so you can get that last attack in with maybe Zoro or a Rusher, that they don't expect you to do that. So that was everything. So for the tournament report, round 1 we started against Red-Green, Luffy. We took that win, it was pretty decisive. Round 2 we went against Green Kid. We took that win. There was a point where I had to exchange boards with him, but once I was able to clear his board, I was able to take the win from there. Now, round 3 I went against Purple Kaido, my friend Chris. I've been having a lot of trouble. He wins the roll and opens the Oshigashi, and there's not much you can do after that, alongside a couple Who's Who's, so we took the loss. It was kind of rough, but we kept our spirits high. Round 4, we ran into another Kid. It seemed like the whole room was filled with Green Kid. We got that win. It was pretty rough. We had to get through 2 8-drops of the 8-drop Kid that controls the board. I outed the first one with Otama and Jet Punch, and then the second one I had to, it was just down to Luffy plus Don to get rid of it. So like I said, if you don't have Luffy, sometimes you can't win, because he had a couple blockers protecting it too, but I just made it unblockable. So round 5, we went against another Green Kid. I had the choice to go first this match, which I did, but I end up drawing into too many event cards and can't really keep tempo with the Kid deck, and he's able to control my board pretty well. And it still was a close game, but I ended up losing that. Round 6 went against the Red-Green Law, and this game was very back and forth, and at no point did I ever feel like I was winning the game, but near the end of the game I was able to get Luffy and Zanji, because I had hit one of the 2 years when he was attacking me to get one of them, and then I was able to draw into the other one. And then that sealed the deal right there, because I knew what was in his hand. So overall, it was a good day, but we didn't quite make it because some of our tiebreakers didn't perform that well. The person that we beat round 2 ended up placing, I think, 4th or 5th. But, and the person that we lost to round 5 placed 6th place. But that pushed us down to 11th place out of 47 players. Still not a bad showing, but not exactly what we wanted. So try again next time. Alright guys, peace.